Are you ready to hire for hire a rookie, which requires us to tribute a monster on the field, or to resort into grabbing a goblin, which also tributes a monster on the field, but we have no monsters to tribute to use any card in our hand. We completely bricked with this crazy cool deck. Begin.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
Set 2 pass, brick. We just have Nibiru. And let's see if Thydo can play around Nibiru. Now, the Fiendsmith Engraver line could easily end up on either an Apollo USA or a Caesar. Caesar will negate the Nibiru, or of course the Apollo USA will. And then after fully committing to your Fiendsmith engine, you could then pop off with your other cards if you have other plays. We have the Oak, which ideally would be able to tribute an equip card from the back row to someone from the deck here, as we're doing that right now, which then makes us a bit more susceptible to the Nibiru, as it's now activatable. Just like that. How are we going to be dealing with this Nibiru? Poplar being added to the hand through the Ash, adding the Divine Temple. Engraver is going to be reborning itself back in the field. And now you have to Nibiru. It is not an option any other way. And this is why you would potentially want to use the Divine Temple to set up a card to the back row, so that when the Nibiru summons, it triggers the Divine Temple to summon a monster from the back row, which could have been something like a Flameburge. And then if you can get the Flameburge in the graveyard, it reborns your bodies onto the field. Did not Nibiru. Whoa. I said we had to and we didn't. Well, that's the case, and now you can't. So that's important to note when the Nibiru choke points are. I clearly showcased to you or told you what the choke point was, and then you actually got to see why it was the choke point, because now it's not possible in Nibiru. And just like that, 8,900 damage, mate. Let's get to it. Let's do it. Into game number 2. Now, these duels are best of 3. It could be a strategy to keep your Nibiru as a secret. This is not the TCG where everyone knows everyone's playing Nibiru potentially, unless they're playing the Impulse in their deck, which then turns off Nibiru, but they could still potentially play Nibiru in addition to the Impulse, just Nibiru first. So we're going to hop into game 2 and 3, and maybe Nibiru is going to win one of those duels. All right, so why was that the last opportunity to activate the Nibiru? You want to identify when you're playing against a deck, what are the choke points of when they could summon something that would counter your Nibiru, or at least set up a situation where, like with the Divine Temple, they could respond to your Nibiru and play right through it. So those are the 2 things you want to worry about. Can they negate Nibiru or play through Nibiru? And can I Nibiru before they get to that point? Well, if they have at least 4 bodies on the field, you know an Apollo USA could be summoned, or let's say a Link 2 plus 2 other bodies, or a Link 3 plus 1 other body. And then with 2 level 6s on the field, Engraver and Engraver, that is when you know they could summon the Caesar, which is what they summoned, which would then just simply negate and destroy the Nibiru. So that was the last opportunity, as we saw. We had to do it, otherwise the negate was out. We had to hold Nibiru because it would have just looked bad to activate afterward. But thankfully for this duel, we actually have some plays. Now, when mixing deck types together, one of the biggest issues, besides looking up the word cannot special summon of how the deck conflicts with each other, could simply be at the base level of, are you conflicting with too many normal summons? Are the Fur Hires competing with your normal summons here? Because the Mace would want to be normal summoned here, the Goblin would want to be normal summoned here, and the Beat for Hire potentially would want to be summoned here. Let's see how this deck is being played. We're going to normal summon the Sleepy. Sleepy on summon will activate to fuse. Now, you may be wondering, why didn't I bring up normal summon this? Because generally, you don't want to normal summon this. It's during the turn a monster in your possession was destroyed, you could just special summon this card from your hand instead. So the Goblin destroys itself, the Mace destroys itself, and then the Sleepy could have been summoned afterward. But if the Goblin or Mace were to be negated, then you would have no card that destroyed itself or in your possession, then the Sleepy would be stuck in your hand. Now, thankfully, we do have the Goblin Biker to tribute off our Sleepy to dodge the Veiler. And this also, another thankful situation is that this is not like Forbidden Albaz, or not Forbidden, just Albaz. And Albaz requires itself to be part of the fusion summon. Sleepy does not have to be the fusion material. You could fuse with your other cards if you tribute this off. That's exactly what we're going to be doing, yes? And if we Ash Blossom negate the Goblin Biker, we don't care. We're still fusing with our hand here. Ooh, we are not going to Ash it. We are going to Maxi instead. This is going to be adding a Goblin or summoning a Goblin onto the field as we now resolve our fusion summon. What are our forms of disruption here? We could, if one of our cards get destroyed, we could do with the Bone Party. We could then fuse with the Graveyard. We could then use the Fracture Dance to pop a card on the field. Falgo, if a card is destroyed from the opponent, we could draw at least one card, I guess, maybe drawn into a hand trap here. We don't really have that much disruption. We have the Requiem summoning from the deck, our Engraver. We have Engraver, Engrave reborning itself onto the field. We could potentially go into a Caesar here, which could negate a special summon, which would negate the Bone Party and negate the Memento Fusion. But we're going to use the Ash Blossom to negate the Bone Party. Now, Bone Party was allowing us to summon a body onto the field and also turn on our Memento Fusion to use the Grave. We now can't Memento Fuse up with the Grave. We're going to use the sequence to be summoning a Desiree, which will be able to negate up to 2 cards on the field non-targeting, pinning down our Fusion and our Fracture Dance. What do we do now? I think we scoop phase or what? I don't think we have any other plays. We have, let's speed this up. Diablo Star triggering alongside the Poplar. You would normally want the Poplar to be on the higher chain link from the Diablo Star to chain link block the Diablo Star from, let's say, an Apollo USA being on the field. We are going to be going into the Azamina plays. Another negate has just hit the board, mate. As the Oak on summon reborns the Poplar, searching for the Divine Temple. We're going to play a Sneak Eye Diablo Star from the deck. We're going to tribute summon or activate the effect of the Oak to summon from the hand or deck a Flameburge. Over 13,000 damage on the field with multiple different negates. And just like that, mate, a 2-0 victory. Unfortunately, Maxi won game 2 and Bricking lost game 1. Ooh, what is this? We got our Cyburst monsters here. We're gonna roar onto the field an Evil Swarm Heliotrope. What the? As we follow up with the barrel, attempting to set from our deck a Lordy Load. Keep your load away from me, mate. And this also is a Labyrinth deck. I talked about previously your normal summons conflicting, and this was a normal summon confliction where the Ariana wanted the normal summon, the barrel also wanted the normal summon, and instead we now have a Baguska. Everything is forced into defense, and it will be negated. Defense are up the top of the deck. Now, what's the counter to Baguska? Link summons. They can't go into defense. We're going to send from the deck a Sigma with the Circular, reborn the Sigma. We can't trigger the Circular without it being negated. We're going to summon a Lingaribo to trigger the Defensor to summon from the deck, but that's okay. We are just setting up to do a ton of Cyburst Link summoning here. We're going to Firewall Guardian, summon from the grave, Splash Mage, reborn the Defensor, come forth into a Transcode Talker. Now, as we go into the update jammer, and with that, we would be untargetable, but the access code talker can actually be negated. You need your toggle to be on. With it on the resolution of gaining the attack within only that window, because if it starts activating the pop cards in the field, it's too late to activate the Veiler. We're going to update the jam, give our access code talker the ability to attack twice in one turn. Boost 5,300 attack. We're going to Veiler on the resolution with the toggle on, so it loses its boost, but it still has double attack. You have to remember that the Circular has forced us into only being able to attack with one monster this turn. We now have a G Golem Crystal Heart. With the Crystal Heart, we're going to be reborning the Transcode Talker. Onto the field we go. Transcode Talker, further reborning our update jammer as we now go into the Terahertz. Holy moly. Update the jam, giving the Terahertz a double attack. We're going to send from the deck of multiplication, multiplying the attack to 11,000 attack. Attack number 1 into attack number 2. We got the Primate Roar to block the second attack. What? Pay 2,000, declare. And then if you control a monster, special summon the declared monster from your deck. Was this in the graveyard or something? The monster, where's the monster? You didn't have a monster to summon? He only runs one and he burned through it in the first turn, did he? Oh my Jesus, ain't no way. Okay, well, let's hop into the next duel. Primate, roar it up. Let's get roaring as the Ash Blossom is going to get negating. We do not want your Heliotrope to be summoned onto the field here. Sure. And now we have our other normal summon. Ariana searching for the Coup Clock, which we're now going to potentially be activating Droll and Lockbird. Nope, no Droll. As we set up the Big Welcome Labyrinth, Coup Clock's going to make the Big Welcome activatable the turn it's set as we summon from the deck our lovely Labyrinth to randomly pop a card from the hand. What are we taking out here? As the Torby also triggers to summon itself onto the field. As we randomly wipe away, we have Equation to Reborn the Addition, so that's okay with the addition getting popped. We now have the lovely recycling the Big Welcome to again pop another card from the hand during the next turn. We also have Ash Blossom as a form of protection. We're going to use the Equation to Reborn onto the field our Mathmech Edition, as we are now going to, let me set up the sound here. Come forth and summon from the deck Our Lady, returning back the Torby, trigger and lovely, pop away the Drone Lockbird, go into a Linger Rebo to trigger the Parallel Exceed to summon from the hand, as it's not even activating to summon from the deck because, believe it or not, this card is semi-limited. It's a Garnet. It's got to be in the deck to activate the summon from the deck. So we're going into a Splash Mage instead. Splash it up, Reborn the Addition as we go into a Link Decoder with alongside the Transcode Talker. It's going to be reborning on the summon of the Transcode Talker. So now we can make a Link 5. We're going to be reborning the Splash Mage and now get ready for the Terahertz. Terahertz can become 11,000 attack. We're to transaction rollback, copy the effective Big Welcome to summon Ariana, return back Lovely, search in our deck for a Butler. We're going to use the Torby to discard the Lovely, set up into the back row a regular Welcome Labyrinth here, as the Coup Clock is now going to be adding back to the hand to make our set trap activatable. As we send it to the graveyard, we're going to be using the Terahertz in response to send from the deck or extra deck to the graveyard. Now, what you have to note with the Terahertz is it states that negate any monster effects activated by your opponent during the battle phase. So this would have been more ideally activated within the battle phase unless it's about to be outed while in main phase 2. Main phase 1, that is. Looking at turn 2. We have Welcome Labyrinth summoning from the deck as the Lady has nothing to Chainlink block it, which the Terahertz could have potentially Chainlink blocked it, stopping it from setting a big Welcome from the deck here. Welcome to the field. We have Chandelier. We have just one attack here as we wipe away the Lady. We have Chandelier in the end phase, discarding the Butler, setting up from our deck a Labyrinth field spell. Oh boy, what is good here? Terahertz is activating within the draw phase, sending the Disave Worm to negate a spell or trap card activation. We have the Labyrinth alongside that, the Big Welcome Labyrinth, which will non-target pop a card on the field, which we're going to be using the Disave Worm to negate the activation mate. Now, let's Lordy load, search our deck for the barrel here. We have Ariana on summon, searching for the Big Welcome Labyrinth. And with that, we're going to go into a Typhon. Typhon's going to be able to spin away non-targeting, say goodbye to the Terahertz, as we can no longer summon for the rest of the turn. Now, ideally, Typhon is backed up by back row or hand traps, and we do have back row. We have the Big Welcome Labyrinth, which this pops 2 cards on the field. It can summon a lovely return back Ariana, which will trigger to pop, and then the field spell will also pop. We got pops for pops. We have the Guardian on summon. We're going to be responding to that with our lovely poppage. Come forth, summon onto the field. We're going to return back to Ariana, and just like that, we know it is over. Too much to be dealing with there. If you let Lovely pretty much resolve once to recycle a trap from a grave, it's pretty much a downhill battle from there. Of course, the Labyrinth deck is a 60-card deck here. You have Droll to stop them from further adding from the deck. We have the Engraved Disave Worm to negate a spell or trap card. We have Terahertz, which can negate a card on the field. We have Singularity, which target cards up to the number of different Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, or Xyz you control and or in your graveyard. So that's going to be how many? 1, 2. We can target 2 cards to then spin them back to the hand. Yep. And then we have Super Factorial, which will be able to give us a negate and send a card from the hand and field to the graveyard. So about 5 forms of disruption versus a 6-card hand. So easy math, right? Let's play right through it. Lordy load, going to be negated by the Disave Worm. We have 4 more disruptions to play through. Negate the activation, thus the load goes to the graveyard. Doesn't stay on the field here. Let's follow up with Unexpected Die. Summoning from the deck, our Heliotrope. Normal summoning our Ariana. Searching for a Torby here, which could get the transaction rollback in grave. Exciton Knight. Holy, this card's about to become a lot more popular. Once per chain, if your opponent has more total cards in their hand and field than you do, you could destroy the entire field. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not activatable until we Torby. So we could Torby, then chain the Exciton Knight to wipe away the field. We're going to Super Factorial, but we could Torby chain and then Exciton chain. So it's at this moment, because the cost has changed the card values on each side of the field plus hand, we can now wipe away the field. Activate, mate, wipe the field. We're going to Terahertz, send, ooh, this could send a Defensor. The Defensor could protect your Firewall from being destroyed. Does it protect both of them? Huh, no way. It can't protect both. If Firewall monsters, plural, would be destroyed, you could banish this card instead. It protects both of them. Defensor banish, fully protected. Torby's gonna set up into the back row our big welcome Labyrinth. Super Factorial is now gonna be resolving. Now it's worth noting, Exciton Knight can activate again, but we now have a negate. So if it activates again, we just negate it. We're gonna send the Exciton, we're gonna send the back row, and we're gonna send a card from the hand, and we're going to negate the Exciton, all with one Laplation, one Super Factorial, performing 4 plays. Negate. Then send, send, and send. Send it all away. Goodbye to Heliotrope, goodbye to Exciton, goodbye to Big Welcome, and goodbye to the Duel, right? Well, we have Transaction Rollback, copying the Big Welcome. We're gonna Singularity. Oh my Jesus. Target on the field or graveyard. Well, Transaction Rollback is only copying the card it targets on resolution. If that target's no longer in the graveyard, then what are we copying? Nothing. Back to the hand, Transaction Rollback, resolving with no effect here. Set the Big Welcome Labyrinth. So big Defensor play to protect us from destruction, big Singularity play to dodge the Transaction Rollback. Signet Mining, discard the Dotscaper, grab from our deck our Defensor, trigger Dotscaper to Reborn from Engrave when banished or sent to the grave, as we now go into a G Golem Crystal Heart. Singularity is going to be triggering to Reborn the Transcode Talker, further reborning the Splash Mage, as we're now going to activate the Big Welcome Labyrinth Mate. We're going to send the field spell back to the hand, so you do not non-target destroy a card on the field here. We don't have a Defensor in the grave anymore if they wanted to make a lovely play, which they couldn't even do because they need another body on the field. By returning back the Lady after summoning from the deck, that will trigger the Torby to Reborn itself onto the field as the Lady now summons itself from the hand, but then we have no play whatsoever from there. It just like that, wham bam, thank you ma'am, Cyber, Mathmech, wins it all. Good job, Playmaker, EY, top tier plays, thank you. Let's keep on going.